I'm going to clap, and then when I clap, we'll start.
Okay.
Okay? So breathe good. Everybody's feeling good, feeling strong. Right.
I am nervous I'm going to breathe too hard into this.
We will edit it, and we have music too.
Perfect.
Music?
Yeah, we have music that we can bring in and out and different sounds. And
awesome.
Okay. Yeah, no, we won't do that. Okay, here we go. Welcome to Chamber Talks, the podcast where we dive into all things chamber related, from upcoming events and marketing strategies to policy discussions and business insights. We're here to keep you informed and engaged. I'm Carly Swain Walker, Senior Vice President of Workforce and Community Development at your Fredericksburg Regional Chamber of Commerce. And today, we're kicking off an exciting conversation in the lead up to the CNEW Women's Symposium. Elevate and Lead, Achieving Success in Business, Community, and Well-Being, happening on Friday, March 14th. This incredible event is for women by women and will be packed with powerful discussions, networking, and insights to help women thrive in business, community leadership, and personal well-being. Tickets and sponsorships are still available, so be sure to grab your spot. One of the highly anticipated sessions at the symposium is Financial Management and Wealth Building, where our panel of experts will share practical tips on managing finances, investing, and long-term wealth building strategies. Today, we're giving you a sneak peek into this important conversation with three fantastic panelists, Jessica Marschall, Lisa Cox, and Brittany Doughty. Joining us are Jessica Marschall, a CPA with 25 years of experience and the president of multiple financial and appraisal firms. Jessica specializes in integrating sustainability with smart financial decisions. She's also a dedicated community leader and a mother of 5. Lisa Cox, with over 20 years in the banking industry. Lisa is the branch manager at CNF Bank and a champion for helping individuals and businesses achieve their financial goals. Her passion for financial literacy and customer success shines through in everything she does. And last but certainly not least is Brittany Doughty, a certified financial planner and financial advisor at Cary Street Partners. Brittany is dedicated to crafting customized financial plans and educating the next generation on financial wellness. She's also deeply involved in the Fredericksburg community and an advocate for financial empowerment, recently receiving the Chamber's Next Gen Young Professional of the Year. This conversation is just a sneak peek of what's to come at the CNEW Women's Symposium. If you're looking to gain valuable financial knowledge and connect with inspiring women and invest in your personal and professional growth, grab your ticket today. Let's dive in. Welcome, ladies.
Hello.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good to be here.
Glad to be here.
So as we were getting set up for our podcast and our fabulous Trey Henderson was doing sound checks and things like that, we were getting warm and cozy in here and getting to know each other a little better. And we talked about that it's tax season. Dun, dun, dun. And I think Jessica said that she likes to maybe binge on a little bit of reality TV.
Yes, to scrape the brain clean of the brain cells that need to be used. I love to indulge in watching any of the Real Housewives of Anywhere because it makes me feel better as a person and as a business leader because I do not embrace the actions that those women do. It cleans the brain. It requires zero brain capacity to watch those shows. And it's so entertaining.
It really is.
Yes.
I've been watching the current season of Love is Blind.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm very interested in like the dynamics of that, just not seeing each other and then seeing each other and actually going on this vacation and potentially getting married. It's like a social experiment. It's really very interesting. Granted, I don't know how much of it is scripted and not scripted. I'm sure quite a bit of it is. But yeah, that is what I've been tuning into. But I don't do people's taxes. I just watch reality TV. You don't want me doing your taxes. I promise.
We all need a guilty pleasure, though. So
Absolutely.
you deserve it, too.
Absolutely. Brittany, what do you watch? What's your recent show of choice?
So I don't have too many reality TV shows that I'm watching now, but I will say one of my guilty pleasures is to watch The Office. I've watched it many times over my lifetime, but my husband and I just recently kind of watched it over again from start to finish. It took us, probably a better part of a year or so just to get through it, but we love it. It cracks us up, so it's just a go-to. We just love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good one to always have on play somewhere.
Yeah, you can pick up in any season, any episode. It's just timeless. So.
And that
And
show
it's
is
always funny.
And it's critical to business knowledge. I can't tell you how many meetings we're in where office references are dropped.
Oh, absolutely.
This is true. This is true. I think my favorite episode is when the fire episode where
Yes,
they throw the cat into the ceiling tiles and then it falls out the other side. And, I mean, if you ever need some comic relief, just find that episode and watch it. It's so good. So, Lisa, do you indulge in reality TV or other TV or
Not really reality TV.
Okay.
I have been watching The White Lotus. Did you all watch that?
So good.
It's kind of a throwback, though, to old TV where you have to wait until the next week for an episode to drop.
Oh, I see.
But it's a great escape, always beautiful locations, and it does make you feel better about yourself, too.
It does. It's a very interesting commentary on where we are as a world society, especially.
It certainly is.
Yeah, I haven't watched that yet, so I'll have to check that one out.
Check it out.
I've heard things about it. I've heard rumblings. So, Brittany, we also talked about Wicked, and I haven't seen it yet either.
Oh gosh, are you planning to?
Oh yes, 100%.
Very
Yeah,
nice.
I saw the performance at the Oscars
Uh-huh.
with Cynthia and Ariana, and I was like, okay, I have to watch it now. It's just a done deal.
It's the first movie that I feel like I know the soundtrack prior to ever having seen the movie or the play. I feel like, and I sing it all around the house too, and I'm a terrible singer, so my poor husband. But it's so good. Oh.
Okay, well, we'll have to check it out. And Jessica, you've said you've seen it 3 times.
I have.
Okay.
Yes, I'll see it probably 3 more times in the next year. It's an experience.
Okay.
Beautiful.
I'm looking forward to Wicked and White Lotus, and maybe circle back to some Real Housewives.
If you have some brain cells to spare that you want destroyed, then yes.
Well, ladies, thank you so much for being here today and leading up to our CNEW Women's Symposium. Our audience is going to be in for a treat with all the speakers, including yourselves there. Tell us a little bit more about yourself. Like, financial management is like a niche market that not everybody is right for, and they don't find their passion in financial management, but the 3 of you have. So anybody can start. Just tell us a little bit more about how you got into that role and why it brings you so much joy.
All right, I can start. So I started my career in banking as a part-time teller. And while I was in college and kind of worked my way up through the ranks and was exposed to many different areas of banking. And I just get so much satisfaction out of helping people achieve their financial goals. And that can be a long-term plan where they're wanting to build their credit so they can eventually purchase a home. Or it can be as simple as me picking up the phone to call them and tell them your account's overdrawn today. Need you to come in and make a deposit. But I just personally get a lot of joy out of helping people achieve their goals.
That's amazing.
It shines through in who you are and how you present to the community. So that's awesome. I love that. Jessica, you've got 25 years of experience, right?
Yeah. So I'm an old woman. I'm 49. And I started out back in the days, grad school, master's in accounting, male-dominated industry. I had to give birth to 2 children in grad school, take a midterm 24 hours after giving birth because the professor said it was not his problem that my family planning interfered with my master's degree.
Oh, wow.
At which point after that, I worked at KPMG and I worked at internal audit at a bank. And by the time I had the second child, my salary would have covered it. 85% would have gone to childcare. It was ridiculous. No maternity leave, nothing. I had to go back 4 weeks after giving birth. So I kind of said, forget this, opened my own company. I've expanded it. Our tax practice has about 400 clients. And then I opened 2 other companies that are based upon non-cash charitable contributions. So tax related. But what I've done, especially on the Marschall accounting service side, is looking and working with small businesses, assets under $5 million. And what I've been able to do in our practice is really drill down into the number one thing is cost management. I don't care if someone has rental properties in the Northeast and they have gross incomes of 15 million, or you have a well-run HVAC repair that has gross revenue of 200,000. What is the bottom line? How are your cost controls? And I have seen more financial success from some of the small businesses who understand the underlying accounting, tax compliance, financial literacy, successful, build the wealth, eventually be able to sell the company for a few $1 million, invest with with geniuses like you who can use their funds to work for them, but really getting down to the basics with these clients. And my idea of a great client is I love some of my clients who have those small HVAC businesses. And I fired 40 clients this year who couldn't follow what we did, and they made millions and millions of dollars. It does not matter to me. What I'm doing is people who will listen to what we need to do, follow the financial and tax literacy, and then they can have success.
That's awesome. Well, we all feel your passion sitting in this room, so I'm sure that our listeners are going to feel that too. That's incredible. And both of you, Lisa and Jessica, have had extended careers, but Brittany, you're just fresh and getting started, next gen of the year. How long have you been in your role, and what led you to financial management?
Yeah, so it's funny. Some days I feel fresh, and other days I feel like I've been in this industry for decades. So I'm kind of right in the middle there. I'm coming up on that first decade. And I really kind of started in financial management right after graduation from college. So it's all that I've ever known. And I really got interested in the field in college, really taking some finance classes and realizing that I was interested in this and I was kind of having some fun with this. And my mom is a CPA. So growing up, I always had her influence and, always looked up to her and her work ethic. She essentially worked for herself too. So, just had that great mindset and that great role model. And I was like, well, if it's, hereditary at any sense, then maybe this makes some sense that I'm interested in this. And then just started pursuing, industries in finance and met with a couple of financial advisors here in Fredericksburg, some folks who went to Mary Washington, which is my alma mater. And they just told me everything about the field. And I actually started at Cary Street Partners my senior year of college as an intern, and then started right after graduation. So that was in 2017. So I've been there ever since. I'm on a wonderful team of 12 people. We have 4 financial advisors on the team, and then some really wonderful support in different relationship manager roles there. But we're a wonderful team. We do comprehensive financial plans for individuals and families, and the best part about my job, similar to you, Lisa, is just the helping people and the connection and, working with folks for decades and their whole lives and in the best and sometimes the worst periods of their lives, children being born, children getting married, people passing away, so really making an impact in all of those happy and sad times and just being there for those families and helping them figure out how the financial piece of that all comes together. So it's been a wonderful career so far, and I'm just getting started.
I mean, again, this room is just exuding passion for financial management and taking care of people and making sure that they're going in the right direction, whether they're a small business, a family introducing a child into their family, or someone walking into the bank, opening a checking account, and all of everything else that comes along with that. So, Lisa, you have over 20 years of banking experience. You've worked with people from all walks of life. I mean, working in a bank, you work with people with all walks of life. What are the biggest challenges you see individuals face when it comes to managing their just everyday finances?
The biggest challenge that I see is people not having a plan in place. Anything can happen. Those life events are going to come, right? Everybody's going to have those challenges in their lives. And I just think that it's so important that they know what they're going to do and that they have everything set up to make it as seamless as possible when those big changes come into play.
Yeah, a plan is key. I've heard
Absolutely.
you all three say that word a couple of times already. So if you're out there listening, plan, and plan again.
Right.
So, Jessica, you have a unique blend of expertise. So you have tax advisory, business management, and sustainability. How do you marry those three and what you do with your business?
So everything comes down to following the United States tax code. It's pretty important. Current tax code is over 74,000 pages, including congressional updates and tax court updates. That's how long the code is. Anyone who signs a tax return that we prepare or any tax advisory is attesting to the IRS that you understand all 74,000 pages. Wow. So it's a bear. Our U.S. tax code is not just more complicated than the others in the world, but by a magnitude, maybe 10,000. So what's critical about all of this is Green Mission we opened, people donate building materials and used kitchens, furniture to charity, which is then reused. It stays out of the landfill. We've been able to divert tens of thousands of tons of waste from the landfill. That's awesome. Because of a tax deduction for the non-cash charitable contribution that requires an IRS qualified appraisal by an appraiser. So that is another avenue where you can take the tax knowledge and apply it. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. There are so many more smarter, more well-qualified people than me who have been able to take the tax knowledge and really drill down and segment it into effects that for people, whether it be credit or deductions and planning. And I also want to add how critical it is that the three of us who are sitting here, everyone in this industry needs to stay in their lane of expertise. I do not offer financial planning. I do not offer the banking. Now, what I tell clients is open up that business account in the name of the EIN. Do not commingle your assets. But we all have to rely on each other, number one. And number two, especially as women, there's a kindness factor that I love to embrace because everyone can benefit from kindness and respect, and especially in the financial industry. So I always tailor any of our recommendations understanding there's a person behind this. And finally, what's key to any success is that any of my clients need to have both these pieces in place, and we have to rely on each other. There is so much work to go around right now in this work. We haven't been taking new clients for about a decade.
Wow.
And because of that, there's never any reason to poach. There's never any reason to be, competing and pushing in the financial industry. There's enough work for all of us, and these clients have add-ons when we work together, when we collaborate, and when we give them the best of all of our brains. So to me, I don't ever look at other financial advisory as competition. Other CPAs, they want to switch to CPAs. I send them a thank you basket for taking some work off my Just kidding, kind of. I'm really not kidding. But the key there is that we stay in our lanes of expertise. Yes. We collaborate. We're not competing. And then we're able to expand our services. We can all take in more clients and have more bandwidth when we work together.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. I mean, a lot of times we have what we call advisory meetings with families and clients where we have their estate attorney, their CPA, and us. And that's the best way to really get all of our everyone talking, because a lot of times there's this, communication gap. So everyone's in the same room, everyone understands their lane and can help, with the goal being that client and their future. And it's just the best way. Those are our best conversations. So thank you for saying that. We certainly could not operate without both of your industries and lanes of traffic. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know at CNF, we do what we call a relationship review with each of our customers. And we try to get a full financial picture. And based on that, we refer our clients to folks like y'all who can really help them with those areas where they need guidance that we can't provide for them. But it's all about recognizing that need and making the proper referral.
For all of the business clients out there listening, for all these ladies, the chamber does want to poach you. We will take you as a member. We will make sure that you have what you need in that regard. But I love that, though. I love that you talked about we're not in competition with each other. And we do have 3 representatives of 3 different types of financial management here. And we did that on purpose, obviously. But even if we had all 3, financial planners or, an accountant or a banker, I hope would be the same. Like, let's not poach each other. Let's just work together and make sure that financial management is at the forefront and a plan. Brittany, so talking about financial planning, it can feel overwhelming, especially for those just starting out, young in their careers, young in their families. What's the first step you recommend for someone looking to take control of their financial future?
Yeah, it can definitely feel overwhelming for people of really all walks of life, especially if you've never really had a plan before or started to organize. So I would say organization is kind of that first step that I would suggest. And really that's one step at a time. Just start getting your documents together, start getting your big picture together, and really understand what's going on in your financial life, inflows, outflows, assets, liabilities. A lot of people, it can be surprising that a lot of people don't really have a grasp around those things. Like a big part of financial planning and in building out financial plans is understanding, what's coming out. And everybody knows their income. Everybody knows, their assets, in most of the time liabilities, but a lot of people don't know what they're spending, and that can be a huge variable, and it can make a big difference. And we tend to have folks go through exercises where they can really uncover those. And some are like, okay, well, that jives with what I really, I thought. But others are shocked, and they're like, I had no idea I was spending that much, no idea I was spending on these types of things, maybe a little bit more than I expected. So I'd say just one step at a time, but get organized. And you can do that completely on your own. You can look at your bank statements, you can look at your credit card statements, and just get a grasp around it.
Right.
And then ask for help. I mean, and not even from a financial planner, if that is wonderful, if you have professional advice, but if there's someone in your life, a parent, a friend, that sort of has a grasp around their financial life, or even if they don't, just ask for advice, do's and don'ts, what they would suggest. I think getting the more information is better. So I would just suggest reaching out for help in any way that you can. Take all the advice that you can, because it can be vulnerable and overwhelming, but just start somewhere.
Good. Any tools that you recommend, like any apps that can help track spending or something like that?
We, of course, use financial planning software that, not everybody would have access to, but there are certain components within that, budgeting tools that I know there are some nice options out there. Like there's a mint.com that I know a lot of people have used. I use our own software, so I don't have direct experience with that, but I've heard a lot of folks really enjoy that. And that's mainly on the budgeting piece. So that can be a great place to start. I am an Excel junkie. I think growing up with a CPA mom, she's always been in Excel. And so I've always loved that too. That's where I, feel at home. And that can be a great place too. That's where you can really track things. You can have an entire budget in there. I actually think that they have templates within Excel that you could kind of start your own budget and just start tracking, start setting goals for your budget, and just don't give yourself too much pressure to fix it tomorrow. It takes time.
Okay. So you're an Excel junkie.
Oh, yeah. I love it.
Okay.
It's always open on my computer.
All right. Well, that's probably my least favorite in the Microsoft suite. Yeah. More of a PowerPoint kind of gal,
Fair enough. Yep.
Maybe some Word. Excel is at the bottom for me. But that's why you do what you do and I do what I do. So Jessica, you serve on a lot of boards and committees in throughout the region. And you've seen financial challenges that nonprofits face. You actually even work with the chamber a lot.
I do.
On a lot of our financial. What advice do you have for nonprofits looking to maintain financial stability and growth?
Oh, okay. Well, without commenting on the current state of affairs in Washington, but while mentioning that is a dagger to the heart of a lot of these nonprofits when you remove federal funding, grants. So it is a huge challenge. I have had more immediate and urgent meetings with my 990 nonprofit and foundation clients in the past month than in my 25 years. It's terrifying. So everyone just needs to be cognizant of determining, when these cuts occur, what happens. There's right now not evident for me private funding that is going to take the place of a lot of those block grants. Absolutely. But in the meantime, if this is to stand and those funds are not replenished, then we need to have an entire paradigm shift of the funding from private sources and really determining the scope I'm on our Stafford Education Foundation. I'm the treasurer there, and if we were to lose Title I funding for schools, then we need to raise awareness in the community. This is what we need to feed our children and make sure that they have school lunch and make sure that they have special needs IEP and 504 plans. So it's going to be, it will be a big paradigm shift that I am really calling on people with their hearts, minds, and souls to think about what's important in our country and apply your earnings proportionally to what you support.
Yes. Well said. Well said. I completely agree with that. Lisa, on the other side of that, you work with small businesses quite a bit.
I do.
Yes.
Yes.
So small business owners managing cash flow can be a struggle.
It can.
Yes, right?
Yeah.
We know that. Just like it's a struggle for nonprofits, it's a struggle for small businesses. What banking tools or strategies would you recommend for businesses looking to strengthen their financial position?
I think that it's very important, once again, to have that plan and to recognize the need. Oftentimes, small businesses need perhaps a line of credit to control seasonal cash flow. They need to make the most of the money that they have in their bank accounts. There are options for them beyond just having a checking account for payroll and an operating account. Take a portion of that you're not using and place it in a higher yielding money market account, perhaps. Mm-hmm. But we offer financing solutions, and we try to help our small businesses uncover that. We have equipment loans if they need to buy a piece of equipment. Mm-hmm. But there does come a time when we may need to refer them to our commercial lenders or to a financial manager or an accountant to make sure that their business is healthy and that they're staying in compliance with everything. Mm-hmm. It's so important for small businesses to report income. I know a lot of small businesses try to write off as much as they can, but then that can turn around and become a big problem for them in the lending space because they're not showing the income that they're truly realizing.
Right.
So.
That's interesting. I know very little about like the small business management piece. I know more about the nonprofit piece. But that's really interesting. I hadn't thought about it that way, as like they need to show that they're making money.
They do.
In order to get that equipment loan and things like that to be lended the money. So
and it can also affect them on the personal banking side too. If they're not showing that they're paying themselves, they don't have that income to even justify qualifying for a mortgage or a home equity line of credit or anything like that. So
right.
It's just important that you have someone who that's their area of expertise and they can advise them to set everything up properly.
That's so true. We have clients where they're so excited by their Schedule C drilling down to 10K, passing over to their 1040 as income. Or they, their K1 from an S corp drilling. That's their competing aims. The CPAs, the IRS entire mission statement is that the taxpayer will avoid every tax possible in the 74,000 pages of code. You're allowed to avoid. You're not allowed to evade. But when you're lending, and this happened just yesterday, another Schedule C where there was a lot of last-minute purchases. We want to do bonus depreciation. I can walk through some depreciation, but I can't walk through how your bottom line is $20,000 and you want to buy an $800,000 home.
Right.
You need income.
Absolutely. And you do. You need that income to qualify for anything that you want to borrow. Just yesterday, I had a gentleman call me, and he said, I just started the small business. What do I need to do? And I said, you need to talk to an attorney. Mm-hmm. You need to sit down and make sure that you have a business plan in place.
Yeah. And with that, looking to see how much you're actually making. I have a lot of clients, that I always warn, like the broken record, to avoid the MLMs. You pay yourself in your time. When your Schedule C net income is $20,000 and you're working 80 or 90 hours a week, there's no plan for increased cash flows based on that. You are making $2 or $3 an hour.
Right.
That's where you need to start looking at, we're making this position, unless there's discounted cash flows going 5 to 10 years in advance that you can chart out to profitability. I see so many small business owners, you can't work for nothing if you don't have a plan to grow.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So we've talked a little bit about like surprises, for example, for small businesses. Like I want to buy an $800,000 house, but I have $20,000 in my business account. That's not really feasible, but that tends to surprise the client maybe sometimes.
Yes.
And I think you probably deal with surprises too, Brittany, because you specialize in crafting personalized financial plans, correct?
That's right.
So what's something that often surprises clients when they go through a financial planning process with you?
Surprising clients, I would say the level of how in-depth that we go. A lot of times I think folks think that it's going to be, a pretty simple process. It might take a couple of weeks. They might have to provide, kind of the top layer of information. But we essentially want to know we want to see every single puzzle piece to be able to complete that picture. So I think that surprises them at times. I hope that it gives them comfort that we care about all of those different variables, because when we build out these financial plans, it can be any different variable, any different plan that throws the plan off. And so we really want to understand every piece of that. It's not just about investments with financial planning. I think in our industry, it used to tend to be a little bit more just about investments, stocks, bonds, calling up your broker. Yeah. It's not as much that when it comes to comprehensive financial planning. That is an important component. But of course, we have to think about everything else there is around that. So, their retirement, their goals, what are they actually looking for in life, qualitative and quantitatively. We look at insurance. So how well are they protected from all of the things, of course, that we talked about that can happen in life. And unfortunately, they do occur, and you want to make sure that you're protected for those things. Risk management also involves estate planning. So we have to incorporate those types of conversations. And those are the tough conversations to have. And a lot of times people don't want to talk about that or think about those types of realizations. I had some clients in their 80s, over the past couple of years, that they just really did not want to think about their passing, and they didn't want to think about redoing their will that they had done decades prior. Right. And it was crucially important for them to do so, but the anxiety behind it, just the emotions around thinking about that and what were to happen, it's difficult. So it's very vulnerable, and that's where it's important to walk clients through those types of conversations. And then, of course, we have charitable considerations. So we ask questions like that, whether it's gifting to charitable organizations now or in the future, creating some type of endowment if you don't have the funds to be able to do it now, but you do want to do that in the future, and ways to do that without cash, to your point, Jessica. So all of those things are so important, and there's so many, subcategories within those that we dive into, and we ask about family relationships, and we want to understand those because they are very delicate, as you know, and they affect a financial plan. We work with a lot of intergenerational clients, so that's one of my favorite things, is to work with, grandparents, parents, children, grandchildren. That's so rewarding, especially when they all can kind of understand their piece of this greater thing together. And sorry, I know it's tough not to go into all of because that is the surprising factor, I think, for a lot of people, that we care and it all matters. So going through that process together, it does take time.
Good. Well, I love that you talk about that, because I think that's important. And a lot of people that, like myself, that's not really in the financial planning world and financial management, that's just not my world. A lot of times people like us would think it's just about numbers. And that's the surface. That is very much surface. It's more about the family, the emotions, the planning, the, navigating difficult decisions, and 74,000 pages of document. And it's very intricate, and it's much more than just, managing numbers. And I think that the three of you, have made that very clear in our conversation today. Jessica, talk a little bit more about tax planning, because a lot of people don't really want to talk about tax planning, but that's a big part of your job, and
yeah,
it's very important.
Roth.
There you go. I second that.
We are under the lowest tax rates and widest margins that we'll probably ever see. Again, they caused a $4 trillion deficit since inception in 2018. They may be extended, which will cause another $10 trillion deficit. What this means for let's just assume we're not talking about multimillionaires or billionaires. What this means now is that the tax rates being this low, we have the standard deduction pumped up to high heaven, the Roth, which you can speak to these, where you're taking post-tax dollars and investing them, and then you're taking that out without taxes in the later years. So my advice would be, number one, you talk to Brittany about setting all those up. Don't ask me, except for what I will tell you about pre versus post-tax, number one. But number two, eventually the national debt and the catastrophe that we're in have to be settled. And how will it be settled will be through higher taxes. That is the only way. The other ways are cutting Medicaid, cutting Medicare, cutting Social Security. So think about Social Security for a piece. Only 85%, well, up to 85% of it is taxable in older age. If you don't have any other income sources, it's already not taxed. But you can't live off of Social Security. And the most heartbreaking things that I see, we do a lot of pro bono work in this community, is families that are trying to live off Social Security. They are still needing direct food aid. They're still needing housing assistance. It is not enough in today's economy to plan on just Social Security. So you really have to be looking, and it's amazing to see the matrices that financial advisors come up with, where a relatively modest amount that can be put away, obviously pay off your credit card, high credit card debt. That always has to come first. But such a modest investment, you'd be surprised what it can do in the later years. And really being cognizant of, okay, Social Security most likely will be touched. We're going to have higher tax rates. What can you do now, short of my current business plan is to work and to die and retire on the same day when I'm 96. I really like what I do, but that's what I tell my financial advisors. They're like, well, you need to pick an age. 96, die, retire. That'll be good. But you've got to think ahead. And the Social Security, I like to tell clients, go into it assuming the worst. Assume that it can't be funded. Assume that it's cut drastically. What do you have in place to keep you out of being unhoused? And you look at Micah Ministries, we do a lot of pro bono work with them in Fredericksburg. The housing crisis they had 125% increase in unhoused individuals in the past few months. It's a crisis. Housing prices will go up. So plan ahead and work. No one is too small, in my opinion, of a client to be working with a financial advisor. I think people think, oh, that's just for the multimillionaires. I just tell so many of my clients, find someone like Brittany. And now I'll find out after this if Brittany is accepting new clients. If I can start not dumping, sending clients her way, because it's just so critical. You've got to prepare and just prepare for the worst. Then you'll be happily surprised.
Definitely. And that's a good point, too. When people start investing, they think that they need to build up in their bank account this huge dollar figure and then direct it all.
I brought that word into the conversation.
And then, invest all at once. And it's not the case. I mean, that's why 401ks are so amazing. It's because you do a little bit out of each paycheck. You hardly even notice it. It just goes automatically. And it's a way to just dollar cost average into the market. It's a great way to spread out investment risk or entry into the market. But also, it's just you don't feel it as much. It's a little bit over time. And then you're not waiting for this future point where you have this amassed amount. You're just getting started, and then that compound interest it'll start. And time is your best friend. Myself and two colleagues of mine taught a class at our alma mater, Mary Washington, this past semester. And that was one of the things we wanted to make sure that we left with them is compound interest. Time is your best friend. I mean, these are folks, they're in their 20s. And so we're like, you've just got to get started. Roth, we told them about time and time again, 401k, your benefits. I mean, thinking for the future. You know, I think it's tough for, especially them when we were teaching them, to think about, you know, taking withdrawals from a traditional IRA. They're like, well, I will be, you know, that's so many decades into the future. I don't have to worry about that person. But you'll bank yourself if you choose that Roth now and you really focus on the saving. You'll look back and be really glad you did.
And those 1099-Rs are brutal on my older clients who just kind of blocked it out of their head. You're taxed on a distribution, a 1099-R that's fully taxable at today's rates. So, you know, I love Roths, and I think the little bit at the time, and the you know, what I've seen in my practice, there's two ways to get rich, what you would call rich. Both of them require, well, no, there's three ways. Number one, you need to have a family member who's given you approximately $200,000 to $1 million seed money. You can become rich then. That doesn't apply. I didn't.
I don't well in that category.
No, I mean, yeah. So if any of you have that, you're set. That's great. Just, you know, invest it. Number two is real estate. I could never do it. I couldn't handle the rental and all of that. Then number three is with the strategic investment, or starting the small business, but having strategic investments where the money grows without you working. That's what the real estate and the investment does.
And it's so important to impress upon younger people that you need to invest in your 401k. And if your company has a match, oh my gosh, invest as much as you can.
Absolutely.
And the charts are crazy. If you look at when you begin investing in your early 20s, and it's all about that compound interest. It just grows and grows and grows versus if you wait until later in your career and save the same amount.
Absolutely.
It's so important.
So we're planning, we're organizing, we're Rothing.
We're not dumping.
We're not dumping. Time is our friend. I'm learning lots today. Don't have $20,000 in your account and try to buy an $800,000 house. Okay.
And I think that people find it so intimidating to talk about these things, right? But it's so important because it provides them with peace of mind.
Absolutely.
We like to say that we're in the business of helping people sleep better at night.
Absolutely.
And, you know, just bite the bullet and sit down and talk to someone about what you have going on and make sure that you have a solid plan in place.
I hope that that's getting a little bit better too. I mean, it used to be impolite, right, to talk about money. And I hope that people are becoming a little bit more open about the conversation.
They are. They seem to be, at least in the banking end of it. And I'm seeing people become better educated about what's going on, especially women. My older customers, their spouse passes away and they come in, they have no idea what they have, where they have it. And it's really heartbreaking when you see those folks who have depended on their spouse for their whole entire married life. And then they're just lost. So know what you're doing and have a plan.
And also go see these three ladies because they'll take really good care of you no matter what it is that you're looking for. So I have one final question that I want to tap to all three of you on. What's one piece of financial advice or life lesson within financial management you've learned through your work that has stuck with you? One piece. You can think on it for a second. Anything?
Could you read that one more time?
Yes. What's one
Such a hard
piece of
question.
financial wisdom or life lesson you've learned through your work in financial management that has stuck with you?
I think I hit mine before, which is with business ownership and running a business, having control. And this also is with personal. Having control of your costs is the most critical. The revenue, we all can see the gross numbers. We all know what's coming in. But the sign of a business being run to flourish and to grow is when you have an understanding of the costs. And then number two is you need to run any business with integrity. We break up with clients when they ask us to do things that are evading taxes. how do you put this nicely? Screwing over employees, not a good thing. Get that reputation up there of being a person who works with integrity, watching your costs, but still being honest and paying your people. That's where I've seen over 25 years the most success across industries.
Okay, control your cost. I like that one.
I'm going to go back to have a financial roadmap. You have to have that plan. You have to know what you have and know where you're going and how you're going to get there.
Control your cost. Brittany, what say you?
I'm taking a little bit of a different approach to this in what I have learned throughout my career so far, and also what I have seen clients also do throughout their financial plans, and that's really just staying true to yourself and your values. Of course, in my practice, a lot of advisors maybe don't kind of stay in their lanes or stay true to themselves, but so many of the role models that I've had the opportunity to work with really do, and they've instilled that in kind of our company culture. And I remember one of the first conversations I had about this industry was with one of my colleagues, and he said, just stay true to who you are. He's like, if you play tennis, which I do, he's like, that's, those are types of groups that you want to involve yourself with. Don't go off and, start playing rugby or something just to get clients because there's an opportunity there. That's not who you are. He's like, stay true to who you are. And that's always stuck with me, and I think I've seen it kind of show through to clients and talking about goals and values and what is truly important to them, because it's also unique to that person. If someone says, I want to travel, that's a huge goal of mine, and maybe they're thinking that because they see someone else doing that and that's what they want to focus on. It's important to stay true to what you actually want out of your life, really reflect on who you are, what you value the most, and try to prioritize that, because that can be difficult to think about. What does my retirement look like? What do I want to prioritize now for my future self? And you have to think about who you are, what is important to you now, what's going to be important to you then, and make decisions today based on that.
Yeah, I love that.
I love that too.
Yeah, that's true to yourself. So, and to tie that into what Jessica was talking about, and be ethical.
Yes.
Yes.
My gosh. I mean, I always think I'm not going to break the law. I would enjoy maybe a week or two in federal prison. That would be kind of fun. No laptop, no 5 children. I'd take a week or two.
Just a break.
I'm not going to commit tax fraud.
I wonder if they have Real Housewives on the TV.
Yes.
They bring you 3 meals a day.
Right about now.
You don't have
I'm
to
not
cook or
cooking
clean
the meals. I'm not lodging complaints from irrational teenagers. 2 weeks, but I'm not going to commit tax fraud, and neither should you.
These things you don't think you have to remind people, right? Oh gosh.
So we're going to be true to ourselves. We're not going to commit tax fraud. And Lisa's going to help us make a roadmap to not do those things.
Yes. That'll be a new stop. No federal penitentiary.
Or else go back to start.
Yes.
Well, if anybody out there wants to learn how to not go to federal prison, please join us at the CNEW Women's Symposium happening on March 14th. It's going to be an inspiring day full of learning, connection, and empowerment. Thank you all for joining us today on Chamber Talks. A huge thank you to Jessica Marschall, Lisa Cox, and Brittany Doughty for joining us today and sharing a sneak peek of what their session is going to look like at the CNEW Women's Symposium. Thank you, ladies. Any closing remarks before we close up?
Well, I'm so happy I got to be in the room with these women. I count you all as friends. I'm excited.
Yeah, this is wonderful. Thank you all so much, and thank you for inviting us.
Yes.
And looking forward to next week.
Looking forward to next Friday.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for listening. We will see you next time. Again, I am Carly Swain Walker. This is Chamber Talks. Thanks.